Hey there, it's Carrie Rhodes here. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's paper crafting video, I am playing with the March Club Kits for 2024 from Spellbinders. I have several of the club kits and I'm going to use them, show you what is included, how they work together, and make some really cute projects. So the first club kit I'm using is the large die of the month called Classic Tales. I'm using the embossing folder of the month, Checkered Scallops. And then we have our 3D embossing folder, which is called Classic Backdrop. Then we have our BetterPress set of the month called Book Plate. Then we have our clear stamp and die of the month, the Storybook Gnomes. And then we have our Glimmer kit, which is called Sketched Lines. Love that one. We have a stencil set that is like 3 different stencils in one set. It is dynamic backgrounds. And then we have our wax seal of the month. Very cool. It's square, always comes with wax. And that one's congrats on your new chapter. Now, there is the deluxe caboodle, which you can get all the club kits together and you get like a 60% savings and you get a free set in there, which is this die set right here. Now, there are 2 other club kits that I'm not using, the small die and the stitching die. So note that that will be in the club kit caboodle. All right, now we're looking at the large die of the month, and I'm going to show you how these kind of books go together. So there are 2 dies to create a book. You have one that's open and it's going to create a solid piece, and then you have a detailed piece. Now, when you want the detailed piece, you'll cut both of those dies at the same time. And then it'll sandwich on top of the other piece perfectly. So there are actually 3 different books you can make in the large die of the month. And this open book. So 3 closed books and 1 open book. And this is made to kind of stack these up, and then you can make a little scene on top of the stack with this house right here, which is 3 pieces. Actually, no, there's 4 dies to make this. One of them is the chimney and a little piece of smoke coming out the top. So you just layer those up. It's very easy to do. And then you have your cute little house. You can put some paper behind it to fill in the windows or do paper piecing. There are 2 trees in here, like they kind of could also be branches, but they're kind of made to go around that house, just kind of frame it. And there are some pieces you can use to create greenery on the trees, or I am so in the mood for spring and flowering trees, I did pink on mine. And then you have 2 different leaves, so or like branches of leaves that you can do. So those are all the dies in the large die of the month. I always like to really show all these pieces because the large die of the month is so full of goodness. Okay, here are the books that I made. I'm going with a rainbow theme, which you might have already picked up on from the cover of the video, and it stemmed from this first card. I knew with the large die of the month, I wanted to make a stack of books in rainbow order. So I'm doing that, and I'm giving the bottom edge of the book a little shadow with my hickory smoke ink, and then I'm going to put those onto a slimline card. So I'm making the background of my slimline card with white cardstock, and I'm going to emboss that with the 3D embossing folder of the month called Classic Backdrop. I spritzed it with a little bit of water, and then I'm using my universal plate system to run that 3D folder through my platinum machine, and that's going to give it a nice, like really deeply embossed image, and I love it. I love this embossing folder. This is one of those things you could use all the time on anything. It's great. Okay, here is the free die set that you can get if you purchase the caboodle kit. So that's going to have all of Spellbinders club kits in it. Everything that I'm using today, plus the other 2 that I don't get, the small die and the stitching die set. And this is the only way you can get it is if you get the caboodle set. It's a really cute die set, makes this castle. You could use this with so many things that you already have. You could make it a sand castle, play with the colors. It's just a really fun die set. So I am doing mine in purples, and then I'm going to put that on top of my stack of books. So you can also do that in place of that cute little house. And I also want to make sure you know that caboodle club kit, like if you get all of them, it's like a 60% savings than if you bought all of the things individually. Now, can you buy the things individually? Yes, in a way. You can subscribe to them and then cancel whenever you're done with your certain subscription that you decide to sign up for. And then if you wanted, like, let's say just the large die of the month, a lot of times if Spellbinders has extras, they'll put them on the website for sale. So you have to look like the following month and just kind of watch for that. Okay, so for my castle, I'm just going to paper piece the door instead of cutting it out from another color. So I brought in my V25 marker and went right over the top of the colored cardstock to darken it up a little bit. And I am using some paper scraps behind the windows to add a little like light in them. All right, to add these to my background, which by the way, this background piece is 8.5 by 3.5. I am popping everything up with foam squares. I love dimension on my cards, so I regularly use those. For my sentiment, I am using the Glimmer Hot Foil Club Kit. I want just the sentiments there. Remember, this one is called Sketched Lines, so it has that really cool sketch lines plate that I'll use on the next card. But it also has this set of 4 sentiments that really go with this kind of magical book theme of this month's club kit. So I'm doing Enjoy Your New Chapter. I hot foiled that with purple foil onto some lavender cardstock. I'm going to pop that up with some foam strips there right above my little castle. And because everything is really textured on this background, on top of all of my foam squares, I did put liquid glue because I am very persnickety about really good adhesion. I don't like things popping off later. I don't want that to happen to somebody who might get this card. So I tend to do double adhesive a lot. I am also adding some gems here. I love embellishment. I don't know about you, but sometimes I might go overboard with the embellishment, but I don't feel like it's overboard. So you can see I've got gems in lots of colors, and I'm going to color coordinate the gems and put 3 on each of these books using a coordinating colored gem. These have like an iridescent shine on them. They're so good. So I will link my rhinestones for you in the description box below, as well as all of these club kits for you, so you can check them out if you're interested. All right, my card base is actually 8 3/4 by 7.5. That's going to give me a folded in half card that is going to perfectly border this 8.5 by 3.5 inch piece of cardstock when folded in half. And it will fit into a business size envelope. So even though it's a little bit bigger than your traditional size of slimline card, I often make this size because I just needed a tiny bit wider, which is exactly what I needed for my books. So there's card number 1 completed using the large die, the castle bonus die, and the 3D embossing folder. For card number 2, I am bringing in that stencil of the month. Now remember, there are 5 stencils in this set, so you really have 3 different backgrounds that you can make. I'm using this one, which is the only stencil in the set that you use by itself. The other 2 you layer up together. So this is just like, almost looks like watercolored stripes across your paper. And I wanted, to create a rainbow because I decided after card number 1, all my cards were going to have this rainbow theme. So I'm just using 3 colors of ink, a pink, a yellow, and a blue, blending those together in the center to give me the orange and the green and really get that rainbow feel. Now I'm bringing in those lines from the Glimmer Hot Foil Kit and some Prism foil, and I'm going to hot foil this right down the center of this panel. And it is okay to go ahead and do your hot foiling over your inking, especially if you're using a nice smooth white cardstock to do this on. Okay, so I heated that up and then I'm running it through my platinum machine. You can see all my things are very well loved. I use them all the time. All right, I could maybe clean it off a little bit. So there's my background. Ooh, I am in love with it. I do end up trimming it down a little bit to fit on my A2 size card base. Now I am doing some stamping with the Story Time gnomes. They are so cute. Sit with their little books. One's reading a book, one's holding a book and a coffee mug, one's sitting on the books, and you've got an extra little stack of books as well as several sentiments. So there's the images that I'm going to color. So I'm bringing in my Copic markers to color these out, and I'll show you the coloring of this first gnome, but I do end up using all of the same markers. I'm using RV13 here as my darkest color, and then RV23 as my lightest, and I'm giving him a rainbow hat. So we have YR07 as my darkest color on the next section of his hat. I like that the hats have little patterns on them. That's pretty fun too. And then it really worked out good for my rainbow thing going on. And this lightest color is YR65. And then for the yellow section, I'm doing YR15, just kind of outlining that. And then I'm going to fill the center section in with my Y21 marker. Just really easy and simple Copic coloring. That's just kind of the way I roll. I love coloring with my alcohol markers. It's so fun to me and relaxing, but I am just simple. Easy does it. 2 color blends I'm good with, but you know, sometimes 3. But you know, do you. If you really love Copic coloring, you can really get into it, learn some techniques, and you know, get fancy. And sometimes I like to be fancy, but you know, with little images and little sections like this, I am really happy with just keeping it simple. So the markers are going up on the screen as I'm coloring, and you can slow this down if you like to try and catch those marker caps. And now I'm coloring the little book. I decided to keep it gray because I had so much other color. I really wanted to keep this pretty simple. So I'm just using a collection of T markers, T4, 2, and 0, I believe. And then for his skin, they're such small areas. I only used E13. E27 for the shoes. Again, they're small. I didn't do any ink blending there. And then I'm using cool grays on the beard section and mustache. He is quite the fuzzy mustache. All of these gnomes, very fuzzy mustache. Okay, there they are, all colored up, ready to go. And there is a coordinating die set. Now, if you do order these club kits or subscribe to them individually, you can get just this stamp set. You don't have to automatically get the die set. You can choose. So this one does have the die set. I love coordinating dies. So I die cut those out, and I'm going to use another sentiment from that Glimmer set. And this time I did the Prism foil on white cardstock, and I'm going to do coffee, books, and you. So I am going to do a little ink blending over the top of that to really help the sentiment kind of pop. It is definitely one of those sentiments. You're going to see it more as you turn it in the light on your card. And I thought about changing it up so it was like a lot more obvious, but I really love how it turned out. So I went with it, and I thought it is a fun little thing on the front of the card that somebody can just, you know, turn in the light and really see what it says. So there it is. I loved it. I had to do it. All right, so I'm gluing my pieces down onto a die cut heart. I just pulled out a heart from my stash that I thought these would fit on, and then made a little grouping of all the things. And you can see, like, he can have his little book pile to set his coffee on if he wants. Then I added foam squares to the back of this image, but only where my stamped images were covering the foam squares. And then I added some like iridescent hearts to really go with that Prism foil. They're like the same color as the Prism foil, just happen to have these, and so I thought they would be great. They're called Boken hearts. I'll link them for you if you like those things. Okay, so I'm mounting this onto my A2 size card. You can see my card front is now 1/4 of an inch smaller, so it is 5 1/4 by 4 inches mounted onto that 5 1/2 by 8 1/2 inch card, scored at 4 1/4 and folded in half. Okay, let's move on to card number 3. I'm in love with this card. I'm starting out with the embossing folder of the month, the checkered scallops embossing folder. And then you can see you've got these like waves of checkered lines. It's really fun. All right, then on the bottom, I'm putting a piece of silver cardstock. Again, I use double-sided tape and some liquid adhesive. That really helps it stick down to that textured surface. Now I'm setting the gnome there, but I'm not actually like adhering it down. I just need it as kind of a reference point. And then you can see I've got my rainbow of books again. On the first card with the castle, I actually used the book that's wider, and this time I'm using the book that's more narrow. And there is one other book that I didn't end up using. It has more of a geographic cover on it, or spine, I should say. But I really liked the feel of this book, and that it has that oval opening in the center. There is another die. You can die cut out a piece to lay in that oval, but I'm going to put something else in mine. So I glued these on in rainbow order, and I left a little opening so my gnome can be like sitting on the bookshelf reading his book. I thought that was so cute to see him kind of sandwiched in there. All right, I'm adding that to my A2 size card base. This time I am doing a kind of horizon, scene. Yeah. Okay, then I'm stamping out my sentiment that says, long story short, thanks for everything. This is from that same gnome stamp set. I'm popping that up and putting it right above my gnome. And then it's time for the fun embellishments. These are vibrant rainbow clay hearts. So yeah, rainbow. They come in every color. So I'm going to put a coordinating heart on each of the books right in that little oval opening. And of course, having the right tools makes it so much easier. If you have a pickup tool like I'm using here, it is so nice. And then I've got my little tray. I can pour the excess back into my container so easily. I love having the right tools. It makes card making so much easier. So there is, I think, card number 3. Yeah, there it is. It might be my favorite. I don't know. I'm making a shaker card next. And y'all know I love shaker cards. And this BetterPress plate, the, what is it called? Yeah. It has this border here. It's like classic book plate, I think. Yeah, it is so good for a shaker card because it comes with an oval to cut out the center, so I had to make a shaker. But I had a situation with my foil. I wanted the rainbow to go top to bottom, but the foil isn't quite long enough. And if I turned the plate so it fit on the foil, then my rainbow isn't going the right way and I'm not going to get the full effect. So what I did was cut 2 pieces of foil and kind of sandwich them together where I thought it would look, cohesive, like what it would look like if the foil was longer or wider. And then I just taped the plate in place, and it kind of trapped the foil too. Like you can see the tape is going over the foil also. And I was a little bit nervous that it might not work out, but it's just a piece of paper, right? If it totally messes up, it's just a piece of paper. This is actually a watercolor paper that I'm using here. And no, it's not. It's smooth cardstock. Sorry, that's another project. Yeah, it's another part of this project. So there I have it, and let's see if it turned out. It did. It came out so good. There is a tiny thin line you can see between the like turquoise and the darker blue, but overall I think it was a great success. I'm so glad I tried it, and I am in love with this rainbow and this particular plate. I think it turned out so beautifully. I did trim this down, and when I trimmed it down I realized my frame was a tiny bit crooked on the paper, but you know what, it's handmade. I'm gonna go with it. I'm not gonna let it stress me out. Certainly not gonna lose sleep over it, probably. Yeah. Okay, so I used my frame to make sure I had the sentiment from this BetterPress set in the right spot. So when I sandwich these two together as a shaker, I'll be able to see that in the window and line it up easily. All right, so now I am using watercolor paper, and this watercolor paper I have is just like a tablet of watercolor paper I got at the craft store, and it's fairly white. You know how watercolor paper a lot of times can be off-white? This one's a lot more white than other ones, so I like it for that. All right, so next I am adding a window sheet on the back side of my hot foiled piece. And did you guys know that you can hot foil your BetterPress plates as well as BetterPress plate them? I love that. It just, extends the use of your purchase. And I think that is great. And I love that I mixed the hot foiling and the BetterPress look on this one card. Okay, so next I added foam square or foam tape all the way around my opening, and then I'm going to add some of those rainbow hearts and a little bit of micro beads to really help those clay hearts move around. These are clear. I've had them forever. I got like a giant bag probably on Amazon, and I use them quite a bit. They make a really cool sound for a shaker as well. So now I'm peeling off my innermost foam tape backing pieces and adding a second piece of window sheet to trap my shaker bits. And then I can very easily line this up with my sentiment and not have to worry about, shaker bits getting in the way or it being hard to line up. And that little trick I learned from a stamping friend of mine, Cassie Trask. Check out her channel if you have not. Love her. She's fabulous. All right, so there's my shaker. It's looking great, but we need like the cute factor, which is this gnome sitting on top of the books. And you can see I've got the pink, orange, yellow, green, blue shirt, purple hat. So my rainbow gnome on this rainbow card with rainbow shaker bits. Is it too much? I'm going to say no. I love it. So there is my shaker card. I think that gnome is so cute. His mustache is my favorite. He's very cute. All right, so there's card number 4. I also wanted to point out this card I made in another video where I went live with Crafty Friends and we created cards with club kits. So I'll link that video for you at the end of this one and in the description box. And for our next and final project, we are going to make a gift bag. I took out another stencil from the stencil collection. I'm going to call it a collection because there's so many in there. And I'm going to create the background or, you know, really like a pattern on this plain white little gift bag. Now, I don't know, like sometimes when you go shopping, you get plain white bags. They're like all fancy and give you a nice bag. I save those because I could do something with them, right? So today's that day. Look at me using something that I saved. I'm so proud of myself. All right, so here's the second stencil here. You're just going to line it up with what you stenciled first. They offset from each other and give you kind of that checkered look, and it's really fun. And it has 5 exact lines, so you can do your rainbow, but I know we like the 6th color in the rainbow quite a bit. So I took that second stencil and put it above on the pink and added in the purple, and it fit on this bag perfectly. I love that. So there you can see my full rainbow. Is it okay that the purple's at the top? I think so. Like if you put the rainbow in a complete circle, right? It all connects. All right, I am using the All Occasions bow. This bow is big. It is big. And I thought it would be really cute at the top of this bag. So I cut this out from various shades of purple for a tone-on-tone look, and then I'll show you how it goes together. I'm going to take the top pieces. Now, when you die cut this out, you have to die cut everything out twice, and it's a mirrored thing. So you cut out 2 of the large bow pieces, 2 of the bottom bow pieces, and then you connect everything together. So what I'm showing you on the left-hand side is the exact same for the right-hand side. And you have these pieces right here that help it look like the bow is folded over. Now, when this gets all put together, that'll look more right. I know sometimes when you're in the process, you're like, is that the right thing? Does that go there? You know, but it does. Another thing I want to point out is on the large bow piece, it kind of looks like a heart on the side. It has these little etched lines in the very center that help you line up those striped pieces. Quite helpful. And then we just hook everything together. I'm going to put the center piece of the bow popped up with a foam square, and then you can have your little ends of your bow like come completely out the side, have them come straight down the bottom, angle them out. Like you can, you know, kind of customize the look of the bow, and I think it's so fun. And then you just like glue it down. But I'm going to add a little tag to mine, but I wanted to show you, you know, different ways you could add it on. So I am taking this square tag, that's very important, die cut it from white, and the reason why I wanted a square tag, this is the Assorted Tags die set. I've been using it a lot. I believe it came out around Christmas time at Spellbinders, and I wanted it square because I have a square wax seal this month, so that's why I picked it. I am using the Twilight Purple wax beads that came with it. It has a little bit of an iridescent shine to it. Love it. Now, when I very first made this, I just felt like the sentiment was kind of hard to read. I really want you to be able to read the sentiment because it's like the tag on this project. So I'll show you what this looks like, just hot foiled. Hot foiled, what it looks like stamped in wax, and then you can kind of decide for yourself. It's a very full sentiment. It's not just one word like joy, you know. So I'll show you what I did to remedy that. Yeah. So then I put down a glue dot here, and then I would stick my wax seal onto that. I did get distracted with somebody came in the room while I was working. So sorry, that was off camera a little bit. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take some white wax. I'm going to, I heated up the actual wax seal stamp, so it was hot. I'm putting a little bit of wax right on it. I'm going to scrape it off, and you can see it's only filling in those letters. There's no excess wax sitting on top of it. I'm going to keep it by the candle to keep it warm-ish, but not melty, not too hot, and then pour out my wax, set this on top, and boom, the white transfers down. But here, let me just tell you the truth. You want the truth? This is the truth. It's hard. This is hard to do. I messed up 87 times. Okay, maybe only 4 times. I had to redo it, but it finally worked out. And there's probably better videos on how to do this than mine right here. I don't feel like I'm an expert enough to share with you how to do it, but you can do it. It is a thing. And if you like the look, you should look into it. Maybe I'll practice and then make a video with it. I've done it 2 times now, and I had like beginner's luck. The first time I did it, amazing. The second time, oh my word, did I have troubles. So yeah, but there's my tag. I got one that turned out, and I was happy with it. So there is my completed gift bag. I can use one of my cards that I made today to go with it, and it's fun. It's really bright and cheery. So you could probably like buy a book and put it in there. That's what I was thinking. Okay, so there's all of the cards I made. I hope that you have enjoyed this video because I always have so much fun with the Spellbinders Club kits, and I hope that when you come here, you can know that you can be inspired, maybe learn a little tip or trick or like what not to do because of me, and be inspired to play with your club kits. And if you have any questions for me, please leave them in the description box or the comments below, and I'll chat with you there. I love chatting with you guys. So thank you for stopping by. Thanks for watching. And if you click on the links below and shop those, that helps support my channel. And I want to tell you, I appreciate you. So thank you and happy stamping. Bye.